Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I hope you smile today. My name is Trisha Howard, aka Trisha Kicks Sass, and I am so excited, just like every month, to have an amazing guest join us on episode 19. I cannot believe they let me talk on here for 19 whole episodes. Mark Whitehead, the CEO and co founder of Day Security. Hey, Mark, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing? I always love your energy.
Thanks. It's caffeine fueled mostly, not gonna lie. Um, I'm so excited to have you on for a number of reasons. But I think one of the biggest ones is how easy and nerdy you are to talk to. It was such an amazing time getting to know you so quickly. So I could go on for days about why people should listen to you, but I found it's usually easier if y'all do it. So, if you wouldn't mind, introduce yourself, who you are, what you like about your job, and why people should listen to you.
Well, I appreciate saying I'm nerdy but easy to talk to. I'm Mark Whitehead. I'm a co-founder of NDA Security, over 2 decades of offensive security experience. Um, and just passionate about the industry and passionate about what we see daily.
Yeah, this is obviously where we got to get to know each other pretty quickly because I too am nerdy and hopefully easy to talk to. Definitely easy to talk. That is true. Um, so thank you so much. We have an amazing show here for you today. And if for those of you who are new to the show, welcome. Thanks for joining. Those of you who have been here, you kind of know how this goes. I'm going to run through just a really quick little what we've had going on here at Akamai Research, and then we're going to jump into some real life security stuff that is going on right now. That's as far as I'm going to get before that. Um, First and foremost, we unveiled Bad Successor. This is an abuse of DMSAs in Active Directory, and it can lead to some really, really bad stuff. That's all I'm going to say because trust me, you need to read it. The links, everything that I talk about right now is going to be in the show notes, so go check that out. We had another active exploitation of Mirai that is going after some more IoT devices, so definitely check that out. Some GeoVision devices. And we did have a new SOTI report come out on our apps and APIs and abuse of that. So you will not want to miss any of those things. Go check that out in the show notes. And we have an amazing, I want you to tease this one, Mark, but one of the links that we have in there is one of Nday's links. Y'all pulled together this awesome blog. So you want to talk about that for just a second?
Yeah. So one of the things we like to do at the end of every month is look at kind of the most impactful breaches and look at some of the trends that we see. And so it's a super kind of good insight, higher level at some things we like organizations to take a look at because a lot of breaches are preventable when you know exactly where to look and ask the question. So it's a pretty cool blog.
Yes. And it is something that is near and dear to my heart, which is practical and what is actually out there. And that is, in fact, what we are going to be spending the entire show on today is talking about this. So obviously us those of us in research land, we kind of focus on what is coming tomorrow and 10 years from now. We look at the cutting edge, and which is important, very, very, very important work and super freaking cool work. But sometimes it isn't always indicative of what is actually happening in the world. And so this is one of the reasons I wanted you on, is because you have that experience on both sides, which is you came from this research threat hunting world and now you're dealing with the reality, so to speak. And the way I think is going that this conversation can be facilitated very well is by discussing what is happening to our friends across the pond with these UK
Uh,
retailers who have just been wrecked by ransomware. Um,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the research blog you have is phenomenal. And I always find 0 days super fascinating. After so long, I've seen so many of them. Just so many bright minds that can pick apart certain things. What
exactly.
you really are seeing is, we focus on automated, breaching of company and continual exploitation. So it's interesting when you look at our blog and how it applies to M&S across the pond and stuff like that.
Right.
What we tend to find is you have a couple core ways people are breaching, right? So
Yep.
it's either social engineering, and whether you're talking about via email, via SMS, via the phone. Now the QR codes are very
Ugh,
popular, and these other methods to get in. It's an entryway in. AI is making it super crazy in terms of with deep fakes and
Yep.
I mean, I have on my phone my voice calling me, and it's not me. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. I
Yeah,
got a text message from my own number the other day trying to get me to click on a USPS scam. Go see the video,
yeah,
guys. I did a video on this.
yeah. So I mean, it's crazy how that's advancing. End days, which are we named the company after, we think are going to be the scourge of the next 5 to 10 years, and backing that up really with what we're seeing. But those are basically race conditions where there is a patch out, you have the condition, or the bad actor is going to find it quicker. And
Right.
just with the sprawl that organizations have, and I think you're seeing a little bit of that in that case. Obviously, not working the case, don't have any affiliation with it, and super sympathetic for the people doing
Yeah.
it, having been in their shoes.
Yeah.
You have your misconfigurations, and you look at how large environments are and how complex they are with the technology. And I mean,
Yeah.
even with AI now, you're seeing MCP servers now, and it's just like we didn't even have those 3 months ago, and now
Right.
they're a problem. Obviously, credentials, right? You're seeing that play out, but that's kind of a front door now that we're
Right.
moved kind of a post-COVID environment, right? Where you don't have traditional firewalls and all the servers and stuff on the back end. Though we're going back to that a little bit, and then abusing of trust.
Yeah.
And so what's interesting about following this one is it almost has every one of these from what you can see from the public reporting. And
Right.
I think as you and I kind of talked about, a potential actor that you're not expecting to be leveraging all this.
Yeah, it's particularly interesting because when you think about the impact that these attacks have had, I mean, talk about real world impact. These ransomware attacks. And there was reporting that they actually believe that this is coming down to a group of teenagers that is putting this out there. And goes back to something that I've talked about truly ad nauseum at this point, which is the lowering of barrier to entry technically for attackers. But also, as you mentioned in a previous conversation of ours, was that typically this was happening like in the games world, right? So somebody
Right.
gets mad about getting kicked off of GTA, and so they go in and wreck somebody else, and that has led to some of the most infamous malware strains that we deal with today. But now people's lives are being affected. Not,
Right.
and this is, I mean, it's the same line as Colonial Pipeline they were going after the real world stuff. Our lives are becoming more and more intertwined with our digital existence every day. Ugh, scary.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I think some of the brightest minds I've ever seen are that age group from 15 to 17, and they're just
Yep.
so enabled now, especially with AI and what they've stumbled on super early. And we mimic this with our company is these as a service models, right?
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
because it lowers the technical barrier, and you're breaking down skill sets, where so you have one skill set that's very good at the breach, and that's kind
Yep.
of we talked about those 5 methods. Then
Yep.
you have another skill set that's very, very good at the impact, right? Like the
Yes.
ransomware. Or
Yep.
am I just going to steal the information and sell it? Or am I going to use this access and go try into something else, right?
Right.
And then you have some level of getting money out of this, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
that's where I think it's most concerning is when you look at now, as the world's advanced with AI, and what is happening there is a once in a lifetime thing you're ever going to see. It's insane. With
Yeah.
the as a service models, the barriers for all of this have gone down literally in the last 6 months, just exponentially.
Yep, absolutely. Well, because it comes down to I don't have to have the technical skill. I just need to know how to get access to someone with that technical skill. And so then these platforms such as Dragon Force come out, and this is happening and affecting, I mean, the entirety of the UK. We were talking to one of my coworkers here at Akamai, who was mentioning that they went into the supermarket and couldn't get their cookies, right? And it's kind of a little a kind of an innocuous example, but again, this is a real world thing. Not only are we not accessing cookies digitally, but we now can't get like physical cookies or physical anything. It's just completely wild. Talk about a major impact for, frankly, things we've been talking about for a long time. The way that the way that
Yeah.
this happens.
Yeah, I mean, this one has potentially, using a third party
Yes.
and moving through. I mean, it has all the hallmarkings of what we call a very sophisticated,
Yeah.
and a long duration in attempt to go after an organization,
Yeah.
but they're targeting at this point, 15 and 17-year-old kids. What's
Yeah.
interesting to me about this one is how public it is, right? We
Very.
kind of
Yeah.
mentioned that a lot of them happen behind the scenes. You'll get a letter saying you've lost some data. Um, and you think about it, this is happening not just to the large organizations, but also to the SMBs who then can be leveraged to get in the other organizations
Yes.
like they're looking at. So it is a real global problem that I think is just exponentially getting harder and harder to manage.
Absolutely. I mean, the supply chain, the supply chain is not just actually creating the supply. The supply chain also falls into operationals, like you were just saying. It's if
Yeah,
it's easier for me to get into an SMB company to further attack a larger organization as a threat actor, I'm a business too. I'm going to be trying to find a way to do more with less. It's exactly what we say in
yeah.
business.
Well, they don't even, the attackers don't have the same tools as businesses, right? I mean, that's the crazy part about it. You look at
Yeah.
the cost reward of it, and you look at the organizations defending it completely different, right?
Yeah.
The enterprises have different problems than the small and medium businesses.
Yes.
When we work with enterprises, we encounter the things like the attackers don't worry about, right? Like, um, the geographic region, who's signing in procurement, do you have this compliance, all these things.
Yep.
They don't care about it.
Nope.
And then on the SMB side, right, the small and medium businesses, they don't want to worry about this, but it can have just as big a ramifications and shut them down,
Right.
like your experience. But this just happens to be a very visible one, playing out with all the different pieces publicly that you can see. I think
Mhm.
there's still some stuff behind the scenes that the organizations are keeping as they're tracking it. But I
Yeah.
mean, it looked like they thought it was one access vector. Turns out potentially another access vector through a
Yep.
very well-known third party that does a lot of business globally. Now everybody's going to look. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting when we kind of see in a year on something like this, where they go and put it in and they say, this is exactly what happened. These are very
Mhm.
hard when you're that complex. I used to work these type of engagements. Very, very hard.
Oh, yeah, it's not easy. There's nothing simple about it, really, which is it's sad because it's complex in its simplicity in some ways and vice versa. And then you start talking about, like, the multiple extortion methods and all that kind of stuff. I was just talking with a friend of mine not too long ago. We were talking about the multiple extortion methods, and they said, "Yeah, but, single extortion is still extortion." We like to talk about the second sometimes it's a smokescreen and sometimes it's this, but truly what at the end of the day, so or at the end day, what are we going after? They're shutting down. People are actually being
Yeah.
affected by this in reality. Um, and speaking of the year from now, so Mark, you and I have had we're coming out at the end of time here already. My goodness, this one just flew. They all do, but wow, this one flew. Um, I've Mark and I had had several discussions in prepping for this show. And as we were chatting, one of the things that came out was, all right, we have been talking about some of these things for a long time: social engineering, known vulnerabilities. We like to talk about 0 days, but the reality kind of dictates that a lot of other things kind of cause these things. And we came to a decision that we were going to make a bet to, I love this, put actual skin in the game here. So, Mark, a year from now, what do you think we're going to be talking about with regard to these major events?
I think the main cause that you're going to see of the breach is going
Hmm.
to be an end day.
Okay.
We're so opinionated on that. We named a company after that
Uh
is
huh.
how it's going to be most prevalent in the next 3 to 5 years, particularly next year.
Okay. I think it's going to be social engineering. And the actress in me, of course, feels it's going to be social engineering. And so, to put actual skin in the game, a year from now, we are going to come back and look at what happened over the past year. And whoever was incorrect, whether it be social engineering or end days, has to get a tattoo of y'all's choosing. All right. So more to come on this. Follow us on social media, and you will we will be kind of teasing this out throughout the year, but wanted to tease that. Oh, I'm so excited.
And I have no tattoos.
And I only have one, so this will be
Oh
really exciting.
man.
Oh, I'm so excited. With that being said, thank you for joining this awesome little chat today. I hope to see you again next month on the 25th of June, episode 20. My goodness, 20 already. For any information on what we've got going on at SIG, check out our webpage and or our social media accounts. And please reach out to us directly at the email on the screen. If you have any comments, concerns, jokes, things you want to hear, we definitely want to hear from you. So thank you so much for your time, all of you listeners, and thank you, Mark, for joining me. This was so much fun.
Yeah, this is always fun. Thank you for having me, and thanks for everybody for tuning in.
Thank y'all, Cybernara.